Hello and welcome to today's testing notebook. Day 1 has just finished and it has not been a good day if you have a Renault engine in the back of your Formula 1 car today. We're going to start off with Red Bull. Red Bull only completed 39 laps today with Daniel Ricciardo, and which is not even 75% race distance, whereas other teams are doing 100 laps, 80 laps, 90 laps, 70 laps in running today, getting really good data, and Red Bull still only completing 39 laps today. Daniel Ricciardo finished today 2.6 seconds behind Sergio Perez, who finished today first. Ricciardo's times were set in the morning though, and he spent 5 hours in the pits with an overheating issue. Yet again, overheating issues seem to be Red Bull's problem at the moment. They did fix it with half an hour left in the session, and Ricciardo was able to go out for 3 laps, but he didn't really learn much in those 3 laps. And plus there was a red flag from Kimi Raikkonen at near the end of the session, and they didn't get as much learning as they would have liked to. And yet again, Lotus only did 31 laps today with Pascal Maldonado. There they ended prematurely because of an exhaust problem. So they had an exhaust problem and they decided they weren't going to fix the problem before the end of the session. So they took a break and they set up, and it's going to be working through the night now fixing the exhaust because they had a few exhaust problems. And Ferrari brought a new front wing for today's session, which Pat Fry said there's going to be a raft of updates coming for Ferrari for this test and before Melbourne in 2 weeks' time. So they brought a new front wing today for Kimi Raikkonen, which made him 0.1 seconds quicker than Fernando Alonso's quickest time today, than Fernando Alonso's quickest time for the last test session. So maybe it has worked for Ferrari. There's more upgrades going to come on later in testing, and as I said before, the start of the season. But Raikkonen did spend a long time in the garage with an electrical problem, but still he managed to get out and do a good number of laps for a team that had a few problems in order to, you know, set some good times and get some good mileage for the Ferrari engine. So now we're going to move on to the times, as even though the times are pretty much irrelevant and they are much slower than what they were achieving last week anyway, because Rosberg did the time of 1 minute 33.2 and we are 2 seconds slower than that today, with Sergio Perez leading the pack with a 1 minute 35.2 of a second. He completed 105 laps today, but the king of the laps today was Valtteri Bottas in second place. He posted a time of 1 minute 36.1, which was 9/10 slower than Sergio Perez's time, completing a whopping 128 laps. That is definitely over 2 Grand Prix distances. Kimi Raikkonen was third with 1 minute 36.4, completing only 54 laps. Despite his electrical problem, 54 laps is a decent achievement. Nico Rosberg was fourth with 1 minute 36.6. He completed 89 laps today. There was a lot of simulation work, pit stop work in the afternoon for Nico Rosberg, so not many times, not really improving times from the morning was Nico Rosberg this afternoon. Adrian Sutil was 5th with 1 minute 37.7, completing 89 laps, and with Sauber having troubles last week before the end of the session, last 2 days were pretty terrible for Sauber, but they managed to fix that, and hopefully 89 laps is not a bad achievement. Magnussen was 6th with 1 minute 37.8. He completed 109 laps. Yet again, some really good mileage from McLaren and the Mercedes engines, because if you think Bottas, Mercedes engine, Perez, Force India, Mercedes engine, Magnussen, Mercedes engine, 109 laps, that's nearly 410, 20-ish odd laps. I can't really do the quick mental math in my head, but 420 odd laps today for Mercedes engines. And now we go into the Red Bull times and the Renault engine times. Ricciardo, to be fair, his time wasn't that bad, 1 minute 37.9, only a couple tenths off Sutil and Magnussen, but he only completed 39 laps. Chilton was 8th with the Marussia. He did 1 minute 38.6. He completed 56 laps. Fiat was in 9th. He did a 1 minute 39.2, completing 56 laps. Maldonado was 10th, he did 1 minute 40.6, completing only 31 laps. And Kamui Kobayashi brings up the rear of the field in 11th with a 1 minute 42.2 with only 19 laps completed. And that's after Kobayashi said during the week that Caterham might as well be running a GP2 car because they are no quicker than a GP2 car. They don't have the resources for a GP2 team. And it's, you know, coming out for a team that's been in Formula 1 for 5 years, and Kobayashi's really slammed them over the last couple of weeks saying that we might as well be racing a GP2. We're not at Formula 1 level at the moment, and obviously he's had experience with Toyota and Sauber, and he just says Caterham are just nowhere near being on a level that equates to Formula 1 standards. So looking at those times, then obviously if you're in a Renault powered car, you seem to have to be worried at the moment. Especially John-Eric Verne. John-Eric Verne said in the week that Toro Rosso's problems is not basically because of the car, it's just because of Renault and their power unit and what is holding Toro Rosso back. He says if we were to put any other engine in there, we should have some decent times, but the Renault power unit is holding Toro Rosso back. Yes, so if you have a Renault power car, you should be in big trouble with the engines being mounted in 2 days' time on the 28th of February. Actually, that's tomorrow, saying that 2 days' time. So tomorrow, the engines, performance-wise, that's it. That's it. You can't touch the performance for the rest of the season. 28th of February, you are not allowed to touch the engines. You can touch them for safety. You can touch them for any other thing, for cooling, but you can't, anything performance-wise, anything performance-related, that's it. You cannot touch at the end of tomorrow. Finished. No more. That's it for the season. So if Renault Power do not, work out what their performance is, and if they need to improve, they're going to hope that what their first hunch was actually is good enough for the Renault Power teams, because if they're not good enough, then that's it. They're going to have a horrible season, and that's the only way you can think of it at the moment. But we're going to end this notebook looking at Marussia only completing 44 laps, and obviously they had their computer virus problem, which was telling them that they had an ERS problem and a KERS problem, or HERS problem, whatever you want to call it, which meant that they weren't able to get any running into today. They've only done 44 laps with Chilton, which is not the best. But, they seem to be one of the main teams at the moment, apart from the Renault-powered engines, that are really struggling with reliability at the moment in time. So we have to see how Marussia are doing. And it's since Graham Loudon, as I said, I keep saying it in my notebooks, but it's just like, I hate when people say, because it makes me cringe as a journalist, because it's like jinxing it in a way, because the moment you say something about your car which is good, suddenly your world falls apart. Caterham said it in the last 2 seasons and they've done nothing. Marussia have now said it, and now they're hitting problems galore. So hopefully that's not the case for Marussia, but when teams say we think we've got it this season, we think we're going to be moving up the field, we're going to do it, and then suddenly you eat those words during the season. And so that's why my advice has always been, never say anything during testing. Just keep it, play everything down, which Mercedes and Rosberg have seemed to be doing pretty well so far during testing with the pace Mercedes have shown. But that it for testing today. That was mainly the main track action for today's session. Thank you ever so much for listening to this podcast. Please remember to like, favourite and subscribe to F1 Breakdown, and I will see you tomorrow for the second day of the final pre-season testing at Bahrain. Goodbye.